MS Now has learned that the Department of Homeland Security's plan to convert 11 former retail distribution warehouses into ICE detention megacenters is facing a big challenge: sewage. Specifically, issues regarding water supply, wastewater processing, or both. And some of those issues will cost tens of millions of dollars to fix. That is, if they're fixable at all. Warehousing detainees is the next phase of the DHS effort to make good on President Trump's campaign pledge of mass deportations. To make that happen, the agency has hurried through purchases of existing buildings rather than constructing new ones. One of the communities impacted by the government push is the small city of Social Circle in Georgia. The town of 5,000 people is sounding the alarm about the potential influx of 10,000 detainees and the impact on the aging infrastructure there.
Yes, this is City of Social Circle sewer. This is the first stage in the treatment process.
I can see the line right here.
Yeah, this is it. So we had the ability to treat 650,000 gallons.
When you've spoken to your own engineers, your own experts, worst case scenario, what are they imagining would happen?
Overflow. Overflow of this.
You went over and locked their water at the facility?
Yes.
Can you do that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I did.
You did it. All right, it's done.
I did. And I told them that I wasn't going to remove the lock until I get a satisfactory answer about how they're going to be servicing the water and sewer.
All right, he's not the only one to feel this way. Other residents spoke to MS Now reporter Antonia Hilton as part of the special MS Now report titled Cities Under Siege. And Antonia joins us now. She's also a co-anchor of the Weekend Primetime. Wow, tell us more about this. I mean, first of all, just the imagery of the interview that you just
did.
A
first for me, Mika.
Yeah, a first for you, but also really puts, an imprint on how big this problem is. Is this even built in Social Circle yet?
The facility itself is very much present there. In fact, it was built by a private corporation called PNK several years ago. And the town was told when they were in touch with the private company that built it that originally this was a place that's going to be for Amazon, Wayfair, a retail distribution type site.
Jobs.
Nobody. Yes, they thought it was going to bring thousands of jobs, that it would be this positive hub for this community that's about an hour outside of Atlanta, home to about 5,000 people. So people were pretty supportive of it. There were some who had questions at the time, but for the most part, people were excited about the construction of this site. Then this company secretly sold it to DHS without informing anyone in town leadership, without telling the local fire department, police officers, any of the social service agencies, any of the local hospitals.
How does that happen? How much do they sell it for? What doesn't it have to go through a process?
That's a very interesting question.
Town approval or something?
Yes. It was in 2025, this site was assessed by the county to be worth about $29 million. 2026, they said it would be worth about $65 million. DHS purchased it for $130 million. We've reached out to PNK, the corporation, to understand how did you guys come to that agreement. We spoke to real estate agents, people who've lived in the area for a very long time. They say they have no idea. They've never seen a deal like this. And DHS wouldn't answer any of our questions about that either.
Part of this really is that DHS is so flush with cash right now.
Yep.
They have more money they know what to do with. Seriously, they can just spend whatever they want.
Right. Paying $100 million over asking, something like that.
Yeah.
So this is kind of where rhetoric meets reality. And by that, I mean, you might cheer on, if you live in the town, you might have cheered on Donald Trump along the way, perhaps even some of the rhetoric on illegal immigration. But when it comes into your backyard and there's no plan for the water and the sewage, as you point out in talking to some of the residents there, this is where they go, hang on a second. Yeah. Now it's getting too real.
Absolutely. There's a lot of buyer's remorse. I heard that. Regret, buyer's remorse, betrayal, because this is a town that overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
They believed in his agenda. They're in the district where Laken Riley was murdered. And so there was a lot of belief in his message around border security. And they just never pictured mass deportation would look like this. And of course, people around the country have their commentary on this, many of them saying, look at that site. You know what's so interesting about that, too, is if you look at that image there, all those dark marks you see, they're not windows, those are doors. Because when you run a retail site, you often have hundreds of doors on a facility like this. But you see that there are almost no windows. Their plan is to put 10,000 human beings in there of all ages. And even the most hardline, pro mass deportation agenda folks that we met in this town said, we never envisioned human beings would be at this site, and we didn't vote for that.
Let's listen to some of those residents. Here's Antonia in Social Circle.
One of the comments that I've seen from some people in Georgia is they say, well, a lot of people in Social Circle, they supported the president, they support ICE, so they should support the facility. This is what you asked for.
Well, no, I do support ICE.
And I do support the president. But this is not the place to bring those people.
What would you say to someone who said you voted for this to happen?
I think that's a very narrow view of what is happening and what has happened. I do support our legal system. I do think that there needs to be processes in place to handle those who've broken the law. But that's not incompatible with not wanting a penitentiary in your backyard.
So do you have some buyer's remorse right now?
I do. I've helped a lot of these candidates in their races. And I can tell you, I won't be helping them now. I won't be helping them. They don't have our back. They're not calling us.
I think the math has already been done. I think there's a math calculation out there, and that Social Circle, they are willing to sacrifice their constituents here in Social Circle because they feel like it's more important to be with the ICE agenda than it is to physically help Social Circle on the ground.
Let's bring in someone who just visited that facility with local leaders, Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia. He also serves as senior pastor of Atlanta's historic Ebenezer Baptist Church. Senator, thanks so much for being with us. Tell us, if you would, what you saw when you visited Social Circle.
Well, great to be here with you. I promised the people of Georgia that I would walk with them, even as I work for them. And so it was important for me to go to Social Circle, Georgia, a town which, by the way, voted for President Trump by 75%. I'll tell you, I don't have a lot of voters in that town, but I'm here to fight for all the people of Georgia. And this is an example of small town America just being ignored by this administration. This is their own district. This is a red district. But what these folks did not vote for is raw sewage making its way into their backyard. A day when maybe they turn on the faucet and water doesn't come out of the faucet. The federal government would literally triple the size of this town, 5,000 people. They want to put 10,000 detainees in a warehouse, a windowless warehouse, about a mile from the elementary school I visited while I was on the ground. What they have shown us is that when you stand up and when you push back, you get results because of their activism and their voice. This detention center has now been halted. This should not happen.
So, Senator, you say it's been halted. What is the future of this project? I mean, the federal government just spent, as Antonia told us, a ton of money purchasing this building with the plans to bring detainees there. What happens next? Do you think at some point it will be filled with those 10,000 people?
I certainly hope not. For the people of Social Circle and small towns all across our country. Listen, when they passed the One Big Ugly Bill, they gave ICE $75 billion. They've got so much money, they don't know what to do with it. Meanwhile, 22 million Americans have seen their health care premiums double. We could have fixed that by passing those premium tax credits. They've knocked 15 million people off of their health care. And so there is a halt. We'll see where this lands. But, you know, the mayor and the city manager learned about this by reading it in the newspaper. And they learned that it's been halted by reading it in the newspaper. And so the big bad federal government comes into this small town and runs roughshod over the people. Even the mayor didn't know that his city was about to be tripled. And so I intend to stand with these people. If Donald Trump was really focused on getting violent criminals out of these communities, he certainly wouldn't be building a 10,000 bed warehouse of a detention center in small Social Circle, Georgia.
Jeez.
Senator, it's Antonia here. It was great to speak to you about this because I followed, of course, your work closely, as well as Senator Ossoff's work to fight this. And I know you know many of the same folks in town. I spoke with Eric Taylor, who's the city manager there in Social Circle, and he tells me that while it's on pause right now, he has actually not heard from DHS any confirmation that they are not going to move forward. And there's a lot of fear in the town that because they sunk $130 million into this site, that eventually, because of Stephen Miller, President Trump, their commitment to this larger project, that eventually they're going to say, you know what, we do actually have to start putting some people in there. What options are on the table? And have you had the chance to meet with now Secretary Mullen and explain to him how the math doesn't line up and how this is being read as such a betrayal by the people who put this administration in office?
It is a betrayal. And we will see what happens. As I said, they learned about the facility. They learned about the mayor and the city manager by reading this in the newspaper. This is not how government is supposed to work. I'm doing everything I can. I intend to amend any legislation for Homeland Security that would build these massive mega detention centers. I've been in touch with Homeland Security. I have on my schedule today a phone call with the new secretary, who, of course, was my colleague in the Senate. I hope he'll hear me out. More importantly, I hope you'll listen to the people of Social Circle, Georgia.
Pastor and Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And MS Now reporter and co-anchor of the Weekend Primetime, Antonia Hilton, thank you for your reporting. We really appreciate it. To watch Antonia's full report, visit ms.now or scan the QR code that's on your screen to view it on our YouTube page.